If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.
Afternoon to The Big Cheese Show, BigCheeseShow.com, at The Big Cheese Show on Twitter. Thank you, Nestor and WNST, for having me in studio here today. Show brought to you by Driscoll and DeSimone Investments, DriscollDeSimone.com. So I wanted to kick off today talking about my background story a little bit, because I kind of put my life into two halves, if you will. The first half being my upbringing in New Jersey until I was 18 years old, heading down to the great Towson University, joined the whole fraternity gig there, did the whole party scene, went uptown. I was at CVP's, B Lounge, Green Turtle, you name it. But Towson gets talked about a lot as a very nice little community, but the sports teams don't get their fair shake, and maybe they shouldn't. History hasn't exactly been great for Towson University, but I wrote an article on the Barstool here on WNST wanting to get people in this area fired up about Towson Tigers football, which debuts here the beginning of September at Kent State. And they're going to be heading down to LSU, Death Valley, this year. And check it out there, Big Chi, I'm on the Barstool, but basically gave a little bit of backstory about the team, some of the guys that have been playing there and now are playing in the NFL, namely Jermon Bushrod, guys that I watched while I was there, Sean Schaefer. And let's not forget the Towson basketball team, Gary Neal doing his thing in San Antonio. We got the new arena opening up, and I don't know how many of you know this, but when that new arena opens up, not next year, but the year after, opening with Duke. Now, I'm not a Maryland fan. I didn't go to Maryland, but my hatred for Duke will be just as strong that day. And I know we're going to get our ass kicked. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it here, but regardless, I feel good about the way Towson sports are heading, and I really want to focus a lot of my show on Towson as well. Part of the local community here. I love my experience, and I want people to start going out to these games. I'll touch on the two local professional sports teams here, the Baltimore Orioles and the Baltimore Ravens. Again, I mentioned I was a Yankees fan. My time down in Baltimore, I've grown to love them. I live in Otterbein now, or I used to, at least I should say. I still live in Federal Hill, and I want those orange, I want the purple patio to be orange on a more consistent basis. I only get the purple patio with the Ravens 16 times a year, well, plus the playoffs too, and then the 8 home games. So I remember coming down here as a kid. I loved Baltimore. I loved coming to Camden Yards. My family did. You can make a weekend out of it, and it's not so outrageously expensive. And I was listening to the guy right before. He was talking about the Orioles need to make a move at the deadline. Don't wait till the deadline. You're already a sinking ship. I hate to say it. You want to just be like any other year and pack it in? No, I've watched a competitive baseball team, a winning baseball team, the Yankees, my whole life. The Orioles, you have money to spend too. And I'm not saying do it right now. I don't think you should go and get Zach Greinke at the deadline, because he will be overpaid for it. I don't know. He's had his head issues in the past. Go get Ryan Dempster. The gentleman before me told me, or said earlier, to go get Matt Garza. He's got a 4.01 ERA. He's been shaky since he's left Tampa. Ryan Dempster at 35 years old, 2.11 ERA. And as he was walking out, I made a little comment to him. He said, oh, injury prone. In 2003, had Tommy John surgery. How's Strasburg doing post Tommy John surgery? Yeah, I think pretty good. So that's my point. Go get Dempster, and then take on Alfonso Soriano. The Cubs are willing to pay him 90% of the salary. I have that article on as well on WNST's Barstool as far as the Orioles go, but you can't wait, because the Yankees are only surging, and you think the Rays are going to just sit kind of mediocre the way they've been all year? No. They'll surge. They've got the young pitching staff. Matt Moore looked great last night, and he's not even the ace. That's James Shields, and he'll only get better. Boston's getting better. You got to make a move now. Don't wait till the deadline. It's going to be too late, and then you're sellers once again. Let's talk Ravens a little bit. You know, there's been those rankings on NFL Network, the top 100. Ron Jaworski did his top 32 quarterbacks. I don't dive into them a ton. I think they're objective. And I can't stomach the fact that Ron Jaworski has Tony Romo at number 10, Tim Tebow at number 30, but they have the same playoff wins and Romo's 8 years older. I can't. No. I don't take those things seriously. How are you going to put Blaine Gabbert ahead of Tim Tebow as well? You see some of the passes he threw last year, nowhere even near the receiver. Tebow, yes, I'm not going to sit here and say that Tebow's a great passer, but come on. And that brings me to my point about Joe Flacco. Baltimore fans. I'm a Dolphins fan. I've been miserable my whole life watching that team. Your quarterback's 44-20. Take it from me. Appreciate what you have. As Herm Edwards says it, you play to win the game. Lee Evans catches that pass in the AFC Championship game, you're in the Super Bowl. Appreciate your guy. He could be considered a top 5 quarterback if they went to the Super Bowl. So that's my bit on that. I had to do a rant on the rankings because, people put too much thought into that, and I don't care for them too much. Lock up Ray Rice. He's not a violent runner like an Adrian Peterson. He's not a Brandon Jacobs type with too much body to get hurt. He's low center of gravity. He hasn't missed a game since 2009. He's Flacco's security blanket. It's got to feel good for Joe Flacco that when he knows the heat is on, he's got little Ray Rice around there. Throw the ball in his direction. Ray Rice will make a play. I normally don't say overspend on running backs because they are a dime a dozen, but in Ray Rice's case, you've got a guy that can consistently be solid for you in that backfield for years to come. Plus, I hear he doesn't drink. And, if I hear that about somebody, out and about, and I hear right away that he doesn't drink, I become a little bit weary. Something's going on. Yeah, that's just a personal opinion sometimes. But if you're the starting running back for the Baltimore Ravens and I hear you don't drink, I'm happy to hear it. And then there's a whole defensive side of the ball, too. We'll see how top pick Courtney Upshaw fills in for Suggs. But, we know Ozzy's a good draft guy. But at the same time, 14 sacks, 7 forced fumbles. And besides the stats, the mean mug of Suggs when he comes across that line. If I'm a quarterback, man, I am thinking about that from the time that ball is snapped until I do get hit. Because it's not just the 14 sacks. You're getting hit constantly. And that's what the Ravens are going to be missing on defense. The Suggs injury is bad. And I've said that. I know they got Haloti Ngata. He's a top 10 guy in that ranking I mentioned. But it's a passing league now. And Jimmy Smith and Darius Webb are getting better. But you need that pressure. And so I'm just telling you, Courtney Upshaw, get in the gym, do your deadlifts, your squats, do whatever you need to do to fill in as best as you can and make them not miss Suggs and not make it be such a panicky situation as maybe I'm making it here on WNST today. And that about wraps up what I wanted to talk about here on the Big Cheese Show on WNST this afternoon. And once again, Nestor, I appreciate you having me in here today to do my little bit, and that's all I got.
All righty, good job. At some point, I'm going to learn how to pronounce your name, so I'm going to say that was Chris Cichon.
There you go.
There it is. All right.
There it is.
I finally did it right. I feel better about that. Because I kind of pride myself on pronouncing names right. I got a name that's been butchered. My favorite butchery of my name is when they spell it Nester, which goes, that's 50%, right? 50% people. And then they two P's in the apparitio. They put a CH. Like talk about Cichon or Cion or Cion. They put the CH in there instead. There's no H in my name. Yeah.
What are you? Is it Greek?
I'm Venezuelan.
Ah. Okay.
I had a cousin that played a little baseball. I don't know if you heard about that or not. He's in the Hall of Fame.
No.
1956 to 1974.
Hey man.
Led the American League in stolen bases 9 years in a row. You're not a baseball historian? You're not. If you were, you'd know who my cousin is.
Yeah.
He's kind of sort of like played for the 66 Orioles, played with Palmer.
You know what? I these are things I'll learn. Probably should have known that before I was coming in here
That's
today.
all right.
But
who have you heard of that's played baseball in the 60s? Like Mickey Mantle?
Mickey Mantle, all of the great Yankees, obviously Roger Maris.
Right.
Watching those guys growing up. You have Earl Weaver as well. He was the manager here. When me and Mike were doing our research, we were talking about Earl Weaver's 3 keys to success, and I want to say, what were they? The 3-run homers.
The tomatoes.
No.
The tomato patch.
Was it? It was a 3-run homers, fielding and defense, something along those. I don't know where I'm
Pitching
going with
and defense
that,
wins ball games.
There you go.
If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.